what we are doing at the platform of IMG Helping Hands. I would like to just explain a little bit more about almost 98% of the people waste their first clinical rotation in the US. And by the waste, I mean is they go to do a clinical rotation from the other countries. They spend a lot of money, a lot of resources. But when they go to the hospital, they make mistakes. On the basis of that, either they don't get the letter of recommendation, or even if they get the letter of recommendation, that LOR has almost no value. Even I did the same mistake. If I need to be specific, I wasted my first rotation. Just the reason is because we are not aware of the culture of this American healthcare system. So whenever there is any problem, we are coming up with a possible solution to just assist our fellows who are from other countries. And the main purpose for me in this webinar, doing all the preparation, just because it takes a lot to just conduct a webinar, we have to skim through what are we going to talk, all the IT team was going to send the emails, shout out, stuff like that. The main purpose is not to just sell the service, but the main purpose is to promote the awareness. Our goal is not to be involved with masses. Our goal is to be involved with the people, with the limited amount of people, like a small group of people who we can assist, not in just terms of selling the service or providing any specific service or specific help, but it's the long-term relationship which we are trying to build. So whenever or wherever you go, all of the time, most of the time, and every time is something that's going to be making us proud. So that's the main goal for IMG Helping Hands. And in terms of collaborations with the other organizations, we are continuously assisting, and we are continuously approaching other organizations, main conferences, so we can assist you in a better way, and we can give you more opportunities as compared to what we were doing before. A lot of attending physicians, they told me that what pisses them off is when they receive an email from other countries. A lot of people, they use the same template. They write that, can we do internship in your hospital? And I understand, even in my own, if I were at your place, I would have said the same thing, that I want to do an internship, a 1-month internship, but that's a little bit different. The internship since when I was a PGY1, I was doing my first year of residency, that was considered my internship of 1 year. So PGY1 is considered as an internship. You have to know the difference. You have to know the difference between electives, observerships, externships, hands-on, non-hands-on, or just the observerships. You have to know the difference before you shoot an email, because sometimes if internship means PGY1, then if you are shooting an email for observership, you mean by internship is observership, but the other person who is in the US healthcare system, he would understand that you want residency. That person would be pissed off, because he would say that you go ahead, go to ERAS, apply there. Why are you emailing me? So you have to come up with all the possible words, or all the possible significant differences you should know before you start the first clinical rotation. That's one of the main problems a lot of people encountered. And then we came up with a solution of the USCE course on the platform of the American Academy of Research and Academics. What that main goal with that course is, you guys will be able to learn all the differences. You will be able to watch the videos in the portal on the app of American Academy, and you can get a certificate. And now that certificate you can show to your preceptors on the very first day, and it's going to increase your chances of having a great letter of recommendation. Because obviously, if you are having a course that's you have passed the course, like how to do a clinical, how to get a clinical experience, how to do an electives from your American Academy, it's going to be something that's going to be helpful for you for the long run, not just to do a better clinical rotation, but also to get a better letter of recommendation. And the second question which we receive a lot of time, almost every time, is that, is the virtual clinical rotation worth it or not? To be transparent, I would say that first of all, the best clinical rotation is you are doing if you get the opportunity to go into the university hospital you are doing a hands-on experience over there, and I would say that obviously that would be the best. But everybody cannot get the same opportunity. You have to make the most from what are the resources you have. In case if you are, let's suppose you're not able to travel to the US in the next 1 year, or might be in the next few months, or might be if you just want to learn a little bit more about the American healthcare system just before jumping into the real clinical rotation, I would also think that it's a wise idea to sometimes you can consider doing a virtual clinical rotation. But just one thing to make sure is virtual clinical rotation can be better than a US university hospital rotation if you are not doing that rotation perfectly or not doing that in a best way. For example, let's suppose if you have the opportunity to go to university hospital, but now you are showing up late every day, you are not participating in the rounds, you are not showing your interest. Now by the end of the whole 1 month, might be either you are not going to get the letter of recommendation from the preceptor, or even if he is going to give you, he's going to give you a tough time, or he's going to just give a generic letter which almost has no value. But on the same time, if there is another person who was not able to go to the US or was in the US, but due to just the family circumstances, he was not able to travel to do in-person rotation, what he would do is he would just give his most in the virtual rotation, show interest, and at the end obviously get a great letter of recommendation. Now obviously when you upload your letter of recommendations through ERAS, a lot of preceptors, a lot of program directors, they're going to read those letters. They're going to see, okay, what type of letter is that? And preceptors can easily tell if you have written your own letter. So they have been doing this. I know a lot of people, a lot of preceptors, they ask you to write your own letter because they don't have enough time. But in case if you did that, they can easily tell that this letter was, even if I don't have a lot of experience in this, but still if I see any letter, I can easily tell that if this letter was written by a real preceptor, or if the preceptor asked you to write your own letter and then go ahead. So there are also certain ways to write a letter of recommendation, which obviously if you are writing your own letter, you will not be able to know. And the second thing, the differences, let's talk about a little bit more about the differences about, since we are talking about the US clinical experience, what is observership? Observership is just, you can observe, but you cannot touch the patient. You can do you can do presentations, you can communicate to the patient, but you cannot touch the patient. That's considered an observership. And observership can occur, you can do it anytime, even before graduation, even after graduation. But electives you cannot do after graduation. They have to be before graduation. And electives is a hands-on opportunity where you are allowed to touch the patient, do a physical examination, do hands-on experience, and you can present to your attendings as well. Now what the difference between electives and externships? Now if the same thing you're doing as electives is after your graduation, it would be considered as externship, hands-on externship. So that's the main difference. And regarding the a lot of people ask about the sub-internships. Sub-internship means that anything before internship, which is because in the US healthcare system, how things work is it's the 4 year of medical school. The first 2 years is the basic knowledge they can do, and then they do their step 1. But after 2 years, the rest of the 2 years they would be working in the hospital. They would be doing their electives, co-rotations, and those are considered as sub-internships. And most of the time, the people who are from other countries, except the Caribbean graduates or some European countries, they don't have contracts with the hospital here in the USA. They are not doing their sub-internships in the US. Sub-internships are just for the people who have, or if they are in some other medical schools in other countries, they have a contract with the hospital that, okay, our students are going to come to your hospital to complete the core clinical rotations, and that would be considered a sub-internship for them. And so this difference you need to know. And because if, let's suppose, you're done with your clinical rotation, you ask your letter writer, I did my 1 month of internship with you, could you give me a letter of recommendation? Now the preceptor is going to be confused. This person, he did not even match. How did he get the internship? So that's why you have to know the difference between externships, internship, sub-Is, electives, observerships. What holds the most value? Obviously, the hands-on experience holds the most value, but on the same way, virtual rotation can be more beneficial if you are doing it properly. And also, what the wise idea when you guys are back home in the country, let's suppose if you came to the US, you did 1 to 2 rotations, so you went back. Now, rather than just not doing anything, it's also a wise idea to sometimes just collaborate or just enroll in any virtual rotation that could have a benefit. And obviously, in the long run, might be they can give you the letter of recommendation. And the research and the clinical rotation is not just for the letter of recommendation. That's a very misconception that it's just for the letter of recommendation. No. I did one of the rotation with one of he was the president of Medical Society of Delaware. He wrote not just a letter of recommendation for me, but he also made a phone calls. He also did almost 50 emails for me to different programs, just explaining that what he saw in me, like what are my strengths, so they can consider me or they can consider my application, because a lot of applications are just filtered out. Even if you have above average score, there are some crazy filters. We can jump onto the filters in the next webinar. If your application is filtered out just because of the one crazy filter, your application obviously will not be considered. This doesn't mean that you're not a good candidate. This means that the programs don't even know that you exist. So planning things ahead of time is very important. Now you can bypass all the filters if you have connections. By the connections I mean is not just like shooting me an email, okay, could you give me a connection, or could you just recommend me in your program. The connection you should build in your medical school, or even once you are in your home country. You can start searching the residency programs where you will be applying as soon as possible, and then you can start shooting emails to those preceptors that by saying that you are one of the candidate who can see yourself working in the American healthcare system in future. I'm trying to build my connection with you and see if I can be helpful to you and if you could be helpful to me. It's just like in a positive way. And if your email is convincing enough, then I don't think so the other person would mind replying you. So that's one of the most important things. Because a lot of people, what they just shoot an email for like around 4 to 5 times, or might be like 50 to 100 times, and then once their email is, they don't receive any reply, they just give up. And that's not how things should work, because the emails you are sending to the programs are the generic emails, since this is a very small world and a lot of people know people from other programs. And what happens is people reach out to us, could you give us one of the template how to reach out to the programs? Okay, we said let's show you a template how to do that. And once we show you how to do that, and they are sharing the same template all over the world. And now what happens is the same email goes to the programs again and again, and it seems just like a generic email, doesn't add any value. So I would say, like, whenever I just do like 15 to 20 emails, but spend some time searching on the hospital, their website, and to be specific about why you are reaching out to them, rather than just mass email to like 300 programs where you don't even know what's happening over there. So the next thing we are gonna discuss about a few other mistakes which I have encountered that people do when they start preparation for the USMLE Step 1 or USMLE Step 2. What they do is sometimes they start USMLE Step 2 before Step 1, and I think it's going to be one of the topmost mistake, which will be just not helpful for you, because USMLE Step 2 is a continuation of Step 1. You can do Step 2 after Step 1, and if you are planning to do Step 2 before Step 1, you have to spend extra time in reading all the basics, which you can obviously do Step 1 before Step 2, and you can save your time. and how the research is important and integral factor, because these days if you see the stats on when you go to the websites of Frida or the Residency Explorer, you will be able to know that on average like 7 to 9 research articles people have who apply for IM residency, and it's the number even goes crazy for the other specialties such as plastic surgery, gynecology, because I think I'm not able to exactly recall which specialty, but I think there was one specialty where the average number was like around 25 to 28 research article publications for all the people who apply. And the next thing, I think let's take a look at is someone asked a question in the group before. Let's take a question. Okay, by what year of med school should one start to look into getting US clinical experience? Okay, that's okay, wonderful question. That when you should start. It also depends on your individual circumstances, but I would recommend to do electives because electives hold more value than the externships. So let's suppose when you are from your third year, from three, like when you're done with your basics, first 2 years, you can start doing the workup just to plan things ahead of time after your 2 years are completed in the medical school. So I hope this answers your question. But I would also like to relate that with the research experience. And by the research experience, when you, let's suppose if you have 8 articles, now when you apply for residency, they give a holistic approach to whole application. And if they see that, okay, you have 8 publications, but all those publications are in the same time frame, like in 4 to 5 months before applying for match, then they will come to know that, okay, this person is not genuinely interested, might be he is doing research just because he want to get into residency. So these are also that's why start your research learning as soon as possible, even in your medical school. Initially you can go with the shorter courses, beginner level courses, like how to do narrative reviews or how to do just like systematic reviews a little bit more. You can learn a little bit more, and also this is going to helpful for you to get the positions in the USA, because everybody is not applying for internal medicine. A lot of people I know want to go into competitive specialties, and even you can go into any specialty. Even if I have seen people from other countries going into neurosurgery as well, which is one of the topmost field. But what I would recommend to you guys is just start as soon as possible and show your genuine interest. And that's problem encountered because research, it seems like one of the boring topic, and most of the people shy away from learning that. But what I would recommend, and how we contributed with the research learning, just to improve the research learning, is we came up with the courses, like a lot of courses on you can see on the American Academy of Research and Academics, and also the personalized courses like how to do a narrative review or how to do a systematic review. And those courses are going to be helpful for you to just step your foot in the door before you start your even the real USMLE journey. And once you are done, you get the certificates from us. You can show that, or you can use those to get research positions if you want to go into research fellowship positions. Because if you want to go into comparative specialties, most people prefer going into doing the residency. Like before residency, they jump into the research fellowship positions where they learn more about research, they can build connection, build a network, and then apply for the residency after that if they're applying for the competitive specialties such as neurosurgery, might be neurology, or other fields such as like psychiatry, pathology. And also, don't treat any specialty as a backup. If you are interested more in applying for internal medicine, let's suppose, just give the best for the internal medicine. Don't just jump into applying for 5 specialties to just enhance the chance of match, because you cannot send different applications to the different programs. How the system is designed is ask you to upload your CV, and the same CV goes to every program wherever you apply, whatever specialty you apply. So if you are applying for residency, you have to make sure that you have the CV designed in such a way that it also focus towards the specialty you're applying. If you're applying for IM, it should look like you're applying for IM. If you're applying for FM, it should look like for the FM. Or if it's for surgery, it should be tailored according to the surgery. But let's suppose if I am interested in internal medicine and I am applying for I applied for IM according to my CV, but if a few of my friends said, oh, just apply 10 programs for the surgery, I can do so, that's not a problem, but I wouldn't receive interviews from those programs because my CV would not reflect that I'm interested in the surgery, and also my experiences would also not reflect that I am interested in the surgery. So that's how you guys should just plan things ahead of time. And since now USMLE step 1 is pass and fail, and USMLE step 2 hold one of the most significance in the CV, you can take extra few months, but don't jump into the exam with the low scores. Now the average mean score is very high. It's around me, when I ask people what score you guys have, a lot of people, they have 260s is a very common score when the people have. So when the program receive a lot of applications, they would want to filter it out. Now their filter is also increased. For example, initially when they were applying filters for might be 230, now they would say, okay, now let's apply the filter at 250 or 240 or might be 255. And this is how although there is not a big difference between a person who has a score 245 or 250, but just because of the few points, they would not be able to come to the or the program will not be able to know that one of the best candidate exists. But the only problem with that candidate is he has like 5 scores less as compared to the one they are offering the interview.